Gadget UK here again. This time I'm looking at some of these Konami Hyper Shot controllers, as you can see. Yeah, they're really nice. They're in good condition. They're a bit dirty, but I'm going to clean these up in a minute. I'm not sure how I'm going to approach it. It's slightly yellowed there, so yeah, but I'm not that bothered about the yellowing actually. It's ever so subtle. But the marks and things on here, I reckon with a bit of plastic cleaner I can just gently clean those off. You've got to be careful because you don't want to remove the ink and stuff. But I'll strip them down, we'll have a look inside. I've just briefly tested them, they work okay. Came bundled with a couple of games actually, so I've got the original cartridges here, Hyper Sports and Hyper Olympic. Both obviously Famicom 60-pin. I've cleaned these up, they were pretty dirty, but they seem to work alright now. I think one of them was given like graphical issues until I cleaned it. So we'll get the lid off these. It looks like it's 5 screws, just the corner points, and then the centre point there. And we'll just have a look. I think the leaf contacts, they might be silicon, you know, sort of standard silicon ones with a little carbon thing underneath. It'd just be interesting to see as part of, you know, whilst we clean it up. So there we go. I've took the screws out now, so this hopefully should come off here. Is it clipped in? I'm not sure. Oh yeah, okay, just pulls up over these posts here like this. That's it. So PCB, yeah, so we've got the little silicon things. So you could probably swap those out with something similar because the actual diameter there is not an issue, but if you look at the overall size of the things, they are. They're pressed, aren't they? They're press fitted through the PCB there, so you can pull those off. I'm going to be careful the way I do this. Because otherwise I'm going to damage them if I'm not careful. But yeah, putting a bit of pressure on those, should be able to pull it through, pull them off to clean up the contacts on the underside. But that's it. There's nothing else to it. A couple of springs, a little bit corroded. We'll clean those up, and the buttons. So we'll clean all this up while we're here now and get this into the sink. So you might be wondering why I purchased these actually, and it's a case of these particular games. I think that one of them, I forget which one it is, has not got a US or European equivalent. I could be wrong. Post down in the comments below if you know otherwise. But when I was looking through these and I was trying to find Hyper Sports and Hyper Olympics, one of them, like I say, I couldn't find a US or PAL version of it. It seemed to be Japanese only. But as I dug into things, I realised you can play them on the EverDrive here, but you can't control them. You can't start the game and stuff. The menu displays, you can't do anything. And after a little bit of research, I realised it's because it's reading on a different address. I think is it 4017, and this particular bit is looking for a certain bit. I'll put some more information, perhaps page text or something up in a minute, just to clarify that. But it's a case of, like I say, using the normal controller, you can't use the game. You can't play the game. The game's been developed to use this these external controllers here via this connector. You know, so you plug it into your Famicom, and these buttons are all you use. I did quickly test the car. I'll show you in a minute. I'm not quite sure how you navigate the menu. One of these buttons is going to act as the select button. One of them is going to be the start button. I'm not sure which one it is, in order to to select which game mode you want. But then obviously there's only 2 buttons when you're playing the game. One to to run, etc., and the other one to jump or change your jump angle, etc. Anyway, I'll clean these both up now. I'll show you the end results in a minute. To get these out, it really is just as simple as putting your fingernail or something underneath and just gently pull it. Be careful, and then it'll just snap out like that. So I can clean up the underneath of there and just give that a really gentle wipe with some IPA. You can see they've got the carbon thing on there, so you don't want to rub too much with the cotton bud, just a really gentle surface wipe. It's that really that just needs the surface smoothing down a tiny little bit. So for things like these springs, I get a bit of WD-40 on a rag here. I don't know if you can see, they're just slightly corroded, and can you see that? It comes off, so yeah, give them a clean with, let's say, a rag in WD-40, because it just gets off the surface corrosion there. And we'll hope, because it'll coat them with WD-40, especially if you get it all the way around on both sides, the inside and the outside, it'll stop them from corroding further to the point where they'll break. Because it might not be a problem now, but in another 20 or 30 or 40 years, when I'm long since gone, I wouldn't be surprised if they're so corroded that use just makes them snap. So anything you can do to prolong the life, I guess, the better. And you can see how much corrosion's come off there, it's ridiculous. You wouldn't expect it, but yeah, that's how bad those springs were. So you can see the final results here now. They're not perfect. You can see I have de-yellowed them a bit. I put some Blonde. It's a little bit yellower on the bottom side than the top side, but compared to as it was, they're pretty good actually. They're pretty clean and tidy. It's just like I say, it's just the underside on both of them. If you just look, you can just about see. There is a subtle difference there, but you can hardly see it. All the marks on the face here, they're pretty much like melted in. It's like, you know, the friction burns and things. I've cleaned them up as best as I can, but yeah, you're never going to get one of these that's perfect unless it's just not being used. We've got a little bit of the edge just flaked off that you can see there, but the buttons work really well on these, and for the most part they're pretty tidy actually. You know, from a distance there, as you can see, they don't look half bad actually. So I'll boot a couple of the games up now, I'll just show you them running. So just a quick look at Hyper Sports here now. My memories of this game were actually, well, the track and field actually I've got memories of playing more than Hyper Sports. Played this on the Spectrum I think, and I was very fond of it, especially this mode, the shooting parts. And the archery is fantastic fun as well. I don't think this version contains all the rounds and things versus the arcade machine, because I think the arcade machine had swimming. I remember like a swimming thing and a swimming relay thing, and that's not on here. Obviously the other game is track and field, well the US version is called track and field. I think that's also got archery in it as well, strangely enough. And this, they've taken one or two of the modes from this and stuck those into the US track and field. I suspect the track and field is like an amalgamation of the two games for the US region. But I had fond memories of track and field as a kid, because there was a programme on BBC One, I think it was. Could have been ITV, I can't quite remember. It was on like a Saturday tea time or something, and it was like a couple of teams of kids answering questions on pop culture and general knowledge. And one of the rounds they played a different arcade machine each week, and it tended to sort of toggle between 720 degrees and Paperboy, but they also had track and field on there as well, I think. So that was where I first saw track and field. And I think I played it in the Manchester airport as well. My parents were taking us on holiday one year and they had a track and field there, so I made sure I had a couple of goes of that before we got on the plane. That was quite good. This event is probably where it's going to end, because if you don't get 45 degrees on all three steps there and get right up to the line, you can't even get to the pit. It's really strange, because if you play this same event on track and field using a normal controller, it seems so much easier. I don't quite get it. See, you know, I went past the line there, I still can't get to that bit. I'm not sure what I'm doing wrong. Maybe the controls are slightly different. Maybe I'm supposed to be doing something else, I don't know. I wonder if the angle needs to be lower. Maybe it needs to be like 30, 45 or something. I'm sure it's not that hard on track and field. This is Hyper Olympic, which has got more in common with track and field, I think. I think this is probably the Japanese version of track and field. But yeah, I'm going to do better at some of the events on here, but yes, the colours are just so reminiscent of the arcade version. It's such a good port, it really is. It's perhaps just let down a little bit by the sound, it's just not quite as good. God, it's bloody hard to get some speed up on this, it really is. At least I won. I think I qualified, yeah, 11.85 there versus 14 seconds. I like the way that the events, you know, the length of these events are just right. You don't spend too much time, that's too early. I probably might just qualify, maybe. Oh, just under. 5:49 versus 5:50. I find this bit really difficult trying to get the timing so you don't go past the line like that, like I just did. Cock that up. Gotta get it this time. Yes, at least I qualified. That was pretty bad really, because you can see that I jumped way too early. What's next? Oh, hurdles. Well, at least qualified, came second. It is really difficult. One of the things with these pads, the thing that I don't like is they're not micro switched. If they were micro switched, it might be a bit easier. You know, you just don't get a particularly great response from them when you're hitting them. That's one thing I will say about these Konami Hyper Shots. They're not as good as I would have liked. At least we qualified there. That's not too bad. It's funny that you tend to want to always go for 45 degrees. If you get 45 degrees, generally you get the best distance. It might be 45 degrees might not be optimal for some of the events, but it just seems to be a good ballpark figure. I missed. Gone past the line. See, that was 34. Yeah, it went almost as far as the 45. Yeah, I think it was about the same, wasn't it? That was about 75 metres if that would have registered. Anyway, I thought you'd find that interesting. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.